We're just one day away from a long-anticipated election night. And as Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump make their final campaign pitches, the American people are ready to make their voices heard. More than 78 million people already casting their ballots.
And here to break it down for us as we head into the home stretch is ABC's political director and Washington bureau chief, Rick Klein. Thank you so much.
Hey, guys.
So I'm curious, do you think either of these candidates has the momentum on their side going into Election Day?
Yeah, let's check out our last poll, 49-46 for Harris. It's interesting. We put these numbers out yesterday. We stayed in the field an extra day to see anything changing. Guess what? Same numbers exactly. So we've been in this kind of band for a long time for the national vote. The battleground states might be a little bit different. And here's why. The New York Times Siena poll came out yesterday, and it showed some surprising results. It showed Harris very strong in Nevada and in North Carolina, as well as Georgia. Now, those are Trump hold states. Those are places Trump has to do very well. So we're seeing a little bit of Harris momentum there. On the other hand, we're seeing some Trump momentum in Pennsylvania and in Michigan. Those are states where Harris needs to win. So it's almost like everyone's on defense in this last moment, and it is just the utter uncertainty of all of it that's driving voters in the last day.
All right, so with 7 battleground states, what's the path to victory for each candidate?
Yeah, look, these are the 7 states. The yellow ones here are the ones that are true battlegrounds. We're making assumptions for everything else. There can always be surprises. If there are no surprises, the easiest way for Kamala Harris, hold the upper Midwest. If she wins Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, 270 electoral votes exactly. That is the magic number with no margin for error whatsoever. On the other hand, let's talk about what Donald Trump needs to do. Obviously, breaking through in the blue wall is a big deal, but here's the path for him. If he takes Nevada and Arizona out west, where he's had some polling advantages, and in the South, Georgia and North Carolina, he's on the precipice. 268 electoral votes. One state away, and he could take his pick of these 3. The best opportunity is probably the biggest battleground, Pennsylvania, which is as close to a must-win as both candidates could agree on at this stage.
We've seen a lot of early voting, record numbers of early voting. What does it tell us, if anything?
Yeah, that's a big number. I mean, 78 million Americans. We've already set a record for early in-person voting. We have seen bigger numbers by mail in 2020. Of course, that was the COVID year, so that drove a lot of people to vote by mail. But the big numbers are really across the board. We've seen Republicans do a little bit better than they did last time in early voting, more Republicans voting. We don't know who they voted for quite yet. We do know that Donald Trump downplayed early voting last time, and he's made it part of his message right now. And by the way, this is a lot of votes, and that means it's a lot of counting, and it's going to take some time, which is okay. That's part of the process.
All right, let's talk about the House and the Senate. The fight for control. Where do we stand?
Yeah, so this is what we see in the Senate. These are the states that are in play, and you can see kind of starting the night, we're expecting that Republicans have a higher floor to work from. So let's assume, for argument's sake, that Republicans hold on to Texas and Florida as well as Nebraska. That puts them at 49. Now, you need 50 to control if you have the presidency. So if Trump wins and they win just one more state, well, guess what? They've basically already won West Virginia because Joe Manchin's retiring. There's not a serious Democratic candidate. So if Trump wins and this map holds, they've got control of the Senate. If Harris wins, they still have a really good opportunity because all they have to do is win one of the other states where Republican votes, the presidential election goes to the Republicans, very Trumpy in Montana or Ohio. So that's Senator John Tester, Senator Sherrod Brown. They are swimming upstream in very Republican-leaning states. Take either of those states, and you've got 51 Republicans in the Senate, and that guarantees them control. The House, very close. It's probably going to go with the presidential race because it's only a 4-seat advantage right now for Republicans.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the question that I know everyone keeps asking you, because we do anticipate we may not know the results of the election on election night. So what's the timeline of when we might know?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's anyone's guess. This is what happened last time. We remember this map from 4 years ago, and it wasn't until Saturday that we had enough information in enough states to say who'd win the presidential race. But I'm going to be clued into a couple of states that probably do get us earlier results. Georgia is one of them. It took a long time last time, but if you're seeing a big, strong support for Harris, particularly in Atlanta and the suburbs, you're talking about potentially a very strong night. North Carolina will have a lot of information there relatively early as well. And again, it's kind of the exurbs there for Donald Trump. If he's able to win and rack up big numbers in the redder parts of the state, he probably has a good night. But look, I want to just make this point over and over again. Just because we don't know on election night doesn't mean anything's wrong. State officials have told us in a bunch of states, Nevada and Arizona included, if you don't get a result right away, it could be days. And that is the process. That is not a problem. It's not a sign of any fraud or any kind of chicanery. It just means it takes a long time to vote to count all of these votes that are being cast.
It's going to be a long night no matter what.
You know it.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Good to see you. And you can get all of your election night coverage tomorrow beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern Time right here on ABC.